Hi, everybody, and welcome to Health New Life. Today we have Geraldine Orozco, a great friend of mine, and we met a long time ago. And I am having her in our channel because we want to talk about our light bodies. We are definitely raising awareness in our spirituality. And welcome, Geraldine. Thank you for coming on my show.
Hi, Patty. It is such an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you for holding the space and creating such an awesome platform.
You're
Excited
very
to be here.
welcome. Thank you for coming. So, give us introduction on yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I'm an epigenetic psychotherapist and also a certified clinical th hypnotherapist. And my primary area of research is trying to understand the impact that our emotions and everyday experiences have on our genetic code. How does that change that? Or how does that change us, and how do we change it? So it's a really been an amazing journey coming to this point. That started in a very unlikely manner in 2003 as a result of an interdimensional experience, actually, which resulted in psychic abilities.
Hmm.
That completely changed my life because I began to see the multidimensional body. And I needed to understand, what was I seeing? How does that function? And am I the only one that can do that? So essentially, I learned through my own personal meditation practice how to work with this information. And that's kind of what I teach now. So in a nutshell, this is what I do.
Yes, and I find it very interesting that we tend to follow other people, but yet we should really be learning for ourselves because we have so many gifts that are just ready to be opened, but I feel that we are, lazy.
Yeah, you know what? That's an awesome point. I think, and it's one of the most important things that I love to advocate is that, when we connect with our internal self and when we begin to activate our higher faculties, because we have our five senses, but actually, most of the time, we're not even aware of any one of those senses in particular. So we're usually just completely disconnected with that process. But we have our sixth sense, as you know, this intuitive ability. And really, when we begin to tap into that and cultivate that intuition, we literally are accessing into an entire dimensional layer of ourselves, which allows us to connect to another set of database.
Hmm.
So our physical body, we get the database of the information from our DNA. Epigenetically, everything that we're going to feel, our emotions, our programming, the programs that need to write the protein of the physical body, that's the blueprint of this physical body. But also there is a blueprint for the earth and history, and the souls that are incarnating in this terrestrial plane actually also access and are continuously inputting data into, you can say, a DNA of the earth. So we actually tune into that. And when you begin to access these many libraries, these layers of libraries of information, some people can call them the Akashic records, some people can call them past lives, future lives, but these are realms, dimensional realms that exist through the access of the internal body. So, really, many of us have been programmed to go to psychics or healers or readers, but the most accurate form of your access to that information is through yourself, because it's through your own filters, if any filters at all. And as you deconstruct any filters, the information becomes more pure form. It becomes refined, over time. So it is a really, really powerful tool that actually is the gateway to free will. Like, if a human were to have free will at all, this is the first step in that direction.
Wow. What would you suggest for a newcomer that, for example, they are closing their eyes and they start seeing colors? They
Mhm.
see the pink color. What do you suggest?
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have a lot of people more than ever that are beginning to sense and experience these kinds of well, we call them phenomena, right? But
Mhm.
we can understand what they are. Now, color, remember that the human has a certain spectrum of color range that they can see. So we are able to process certain light bands, waves of frequencies. That's what we see as color. It allows us to identify and create dimensional space when we are experiencing something. Okay, so this frequency actually is holding on to a lot of information. Remember that every object that it has a certain color, it is emitting all colors except that one color in order to project that color. It's blocking out all colors in order to emit that one color. And that's how we process through our eyes. So this is information. It's very specific information relating to an object of that color. And this communication we process as vibrational frequency. So this is a very, very widely used technique, especially in marketing in our day, in interior design, in marketing of advertisements. The color that is being utilized stimulates subconsciously certain reactions and responses biochemically, so the chemicals that we induce in the body, and also emotionally. For
Mm.
example, red is used a lot in restaurants because red creates safety. It makes you feel like you're home. It makes you feel like you're comfort, and it really makes you want to tune in to those maybe more physical desires like comfort, food, and creating that feeling of warmth. So this psychologically is creating a trigger. So to answer your question, in meditation, what's happening is that we are tuning into that frequency language within our body. And if you were to see your body multidimensionally, you're actually a series of, I mean, a plethora of colors, a plethora and shapes and forms and runways of energy. And so these are the variation of frequency that make up all that you are. And most humans have one unique frequency that is actually their signature, which is essentially a combination of all of the frequencies and the sublayers of their multidimensional body. Usually, this signature is created by the subconscious programs that are mostly running your everyday interactions. So, in an example, if a person is in a constant state of survival or insecurity or fear or contracting the throat chakra, for example, they might see more of blue color or they might see more of a red color. Somebody and so we have to learn how to navigate that information. So in other words, color is vibrational frequency, which is information. So the more in tune you become with your emotions, you begin to understand how they present themselves in your physical body. And we can create that connection of communication in the mind by learning um, emotions. You just look at a whole list of emotions. And if you sit with each one of those emotions and just think of the color that comes to mind when you feel an emotion, like say anger, like the first color that comes to mind, that is your perception of this emotion. So we build a library of vibrational frequency language. So this can help us translate what we're seeing in our meditations. Now, I also want to mention that there are some inherent frequencies that exist within the body. And the third eye emits a kind of purple indigo color.
That all the
And
time.
yeah, yeah. And so most people that go into meditation end up seeing a purplish color. That
Oh,
is, yeah, it's an indication that you're turning into your intuitive eye, and
mm,
it is a cultivation practice. This violet light, actually, which is the next octave up between the crown and the seventh and the eighth chakra, is actually the frequency of the DNA of the earth and of the collective universe. This color is found in the cellular level of our bodies, as well as it's found in the universe, in the cosmos. So
mm,
we essentially, this is like a beautiful way to understand how we are connected. We are interconnected to all organisms through frequency and through information. So to cultivate that indigo light, to that violet light, to expand it within your field means that you are opening the channel connection to source, to your source in the body. And I strongly advise my students in meditation to learn how to work very connected with emotions, with your body, and with the colors that they're seeing, because that's like it's a language, it's an non-lingual vibrational language that is inherent to human.
It's like
And
intuitive.
it's extremely intuitive. It's extremely intuitive language, but it is the key. It's a universal language. And just to add to this, that a final note, many people that have interdimensional contact, for example, those that practice this kind of language have a much easier time in discerning interdimensional phenomena. Like they can discern whether something is positive or negative, or who or what they're interacting with. We can also see this with disembodied souls, like ghosts, for example. The frequency that they hold is very different. It's a deeper density. So yeah, I'll stop right there.
Yeah, no, keep going. That's beautiful. Not too many people understand this.
Hmm.
So this is a great chapter of chapter one. Sometimes people close their eyes and they're like, I don't see anything, but I see colors.
Yes,
What is that?
exactly. And that's everything actually, because that's like some people can't even see colors. And it's really amazing. But you see, this helps us understand tools that we have. We have five main senses, as I mentioned, and each human has one of those senses more developed than the other. So if you find out which one of those senses that is for you, you can understand how your intuitive communication is going to come through to you. So that can be hearing. Some people know, they have a knowing, they have a sensing, they have this intuition. Some people can see vividly, okay? And some people have all of them. So using color is a really powerful way for the human to translate the nonverbal, the unspoken, I guess you can say.
That's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. If you have anything to do a screen share or anything, you're more than welcome. I'm not really sure if
Oh
you.
yeah, I can go into for hours. But
I know.
if you have more questions, I can actually share more in a moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, I always think about when I do meditations, first my whole thing was the purple color. And then as you know, I have children and I always try to, open them up a little more. So
Yeah.
in the evening, I always say, hey, close your eyes and let me know if you can see blue. Oh, I can see blue. I can
Ah,
see blue. Oh, do you see red? Yep, I see red. So they're actually seeing and their subconscious is turning on.
yeah.
I want them to be more developed instead of just these video games and things that are really destroying their abilities. I mean, they can be really, really great. And as a mother, and I'm a big, huge advocate of being natural and trying to really find out who you are inside because that's the biggest game ever.
Exactly. And a tool that I work with kids actually is turning this into a game. So, what emotion, what color is that emotion? And
Mm,
it's a really, really powerful training tool. It might be so simple, but when you practice that, I mean, they become more aware of their emotions in their body as well. Because what will happen is that they will connect a color to an emotion, but they will also connect a part of the body to the emotion, because part of the body will contract when they feel that emotion. And
beautiful.
yeah, and this is really important because what happens is that in our body, in our nervous system, we store emotional memory at the cellular molecular level. So this is something that, especially for people that have trauma, how do you release trauma? Well, we need to understand where you're storing it. And a lot of the times, because this is an interconnected holographic system, we store those memories in many parts of the body, so it's layers that we're uncovering.
Mhm.
So I can actually share an image about that violet light for you, if you would like, and also about colors. Would you like me
Yes,
to share about
please.
that?
Yes, absolutely.
If you would kindly let me give me ability to share,
All right,
I
absolutely.
will
There you go.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, so just really quickly about, first of all, let's talk about how do we process that violet light through the eye. So this is the pineal gland right here at the center. And what happens is that this pineal gland has this three directional, actually four, because there's another anchor of light that goes down through the physical body. But these are channels of perception that the brain and the entire skeletal, skeleton has. It processes through these organs these rays of light, which is violet light. So especially when you do dark room meditations, which are
Mm-hmm.
super powerful, the first thing you will begin to see is the violet light. When you look into that darkness, the more that you sit in that darkness, looking, you're going to activate that because that is part of your own light. You're looking at your light essentially. So remember that when you see colors in meditation, what you're looking at is your light body. Okay, you're actually looking at your light body. So the violet light, when it comes up, it's the highest frequency on the scale of light frequency. And the human can see this when they close their eyes in the dark. This is also a wave frequency at the base of DNA, which interconnects the DNA in all physical forms. Okay, so it's like a programmable coil form. So it's a very healing life force. So when you expand that violet light by looking at it and then directing it to expand, it begins to really, really heal the body. So again, just as a visual, we have a spectrum of light, and this is a very limited spectrum of light, but we can process all other waves of frequency through the body as well. The more we activate our intuitive faculties, the more we can tune into this information. And it becomes like a really wonderful way to discern things that we're experiencing.
Now,
Now,
can you
mhm.
control the violet light? Can you talk to it? What do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really not so much about control, actually, but actually, the more that you come into neutrality
Hmm,
is when you can actually affect the expansion of light within your body. Why?
okay.
Because anytime that we start to apply meaning to things, we kind of cut off its potential. Remember that we are infinite potential. And our body is so deeply programmed with matrix programming, which means everything that we inherited and have been indoctrinated with since childhood, especially in terms of how we process and perceive things from
Mm-hmm.
the womb until the age of 7. So we have to remember that in reality, a lot of these perceptions, when most of my clients begin to sit with those, we actually begin to unpack that many of these perceptions have been adopted, and most people actually really don't really agree with some of these perceptions. They just become survival mechanisms. Our parent learned that that was a safe thing to do in order to survive. And then we just inherit that without really questioning if it's true to our current experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so this limits us from the ability of expansion, growing our light, and shifting perceptions that can be expansive and healing and activating. Right. So we want to try to come in to deprogram those programs as much as we can. The more we come into neutrality, actually remember white light. Here's a good visual, right? So imagine that anytime you're in any one mindset, whether it's happiness or sadness, you are still only holding one frequency in your body. But when you integrate all of them, the neutral point, the 0 point, is actually when you become the white light, all of them. So that means that you can communicate higher bands of frequency here, okay? And so just a quick overview of color, if you want to get familiar with color and the emotions. Now, I strongly invite you to sit with each emotion and see what color comes up for you, okay? And don't cheat. But after you do that list, look at this chart. And what you're going to discover is incredible parallels between your emotions, where you felt them, where you store them, and how they make you feel, and the color that comes up for you. Because this chart of colors is organized by frequency, which is a self-organizing mechanism that naturally exists in this universe because it's a waveform, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every one of these colors, the slower that it's moving, the more dense it is. So we're looking at these redder colors. The higher that it's moving, actually, we're getting more towards the ultraviolet light, that violet light. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so the way that that band wave is moving will define how we are activating. Yeah, so I'll stop right there.
No, no, go right ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
Keep going. Okay, well, this presentation is really it's a course on alchemy, and I have it for free on my website. You guys are welcome to just
Oh.
join it. Every single one of these slides is going to come with a workshop that you can do that I guide you through. It's a 30-day challenge. And so I'm teaching each one of these chakras and how they function. But essentially, another really important thing I can mention in regards to colors as well is that every single one of the main organs in the body. Now, in Chinese medicine, we look at the main organs of the body as the liver, the heart, the spleen, the lungs, and the kidneys.
Hmm.
And these main organs are the ones that are in charge of processing the major life force that pulls together um, fluid movements of life force in the body. Okay, so how does that function? They combine them with the elements. It's a really easy way to understand how they complement each other or counter complement each other. And also, when one is out of balance, you create an interruption in the flow of life force in your body. Our physical bodies are made up of runways of energy. And the main system that interconnects those runways are the endocrine system, which is your chakras, right? So each one of these endocrine glands are the ones that secrete the chemicals that are a product of the emotions that are triggered. So let's say you're you remember they say the saying seeing red,
Hmm.
right? We say that when someone is super angry, right? They're seeing red. Now, this is so true because let me show you what happens when you are in that state of anger. The entire body essentially tunes into that frequency, which is the red. So, for example, this is what the body of someone that is seeing red or is angry would essentially look like. Okay, they have very little violet light. Their source cord, so every body has a cord of source that moves through. It's the anchor to the source that infuses the physical vessel with life force, brings everything to life. And that becomes very thin, contracted. We essentially become like this, okay?
Hmm.
Very thin source cord. And what's open? The root chakra is right open, survival. So your body will look like this, okay? When you come into a higher vibrational frequency, your body will look like this, the one here in the far right. Why? Because oh, actually, this is a regular state. This is regular state. On the far right is what we look like when we're in neutral state. The one in the center is when we are in a reading state. This is an entire technique that I teach, but essentially we are controlling the first three chakras. Okay, so root, sacral, solar. You can shrink them down actually. So that will take you immediately out of seeing red into a state that is neutral immediately. Okay, so when we
Beautiful.
can, what's that?
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really
Beautiful.
powerful tool, and I really invite you guys to explore it and experiment how
Mhm.
it works for you. But what happens in this state is that we come into intuition, our highest intuitive reading state. So, this is why I say every single human on this planet can do what I do. What I do is not special. It is just the activation of my faculties, which I've cultivated through this work,
Yeah.
and you can do it too.
It's great information. People have never seen this except when you're really, discovering yourself and then you go and adventure and you bump into other people like you that, this is normal. This is something that you're teaching other people and other people are benefiting from it. So this is very important. We
Yeah,
all deserve this.
yeah, and I'm so excited that you said that. We learn and we discover it through our own body, but it isn't until we kind of get like recognition perhaps or support when we hear other people going through the same thing. I remember in my early journey when I first started going into this work, I had already been doing a lot of these techniques since I was a child, like since about 11 years old. I had already been seeing purple light and just working with it. But for me, it was just my thing that I did. But when I started going to these groups of meditation and learning, actually, this is it's like a university. It's an entire study of the way that your multidimensional body functions.
Wow.
it was such a recognition and a remembrance, and it's like feels so much love because you were right all along. You had the information in you all along, and that's one of the things that I'm a major advocate of.
Yeah,
Again, go inside, find your way of finding this information. We can always learn so much by reading and learning, but the best way is experience and exploration.
I agree completely. I think we all have hidden secrets and we're
Yeah,
just trying,
tools and yeah.
yeah, tools, we have everything, but people call it woo woo. Oh, that's just woo woo. And, I also sometimes think, are those people really real? Are they just put there to throw you off a little bit? Or are they, I don't know. Some people say that, some humans are really not humans. They're kind of, what do you think?
Well, here's the thing. I think we need to question our whole concept of reality just in general, because what does it mean to be real? In reality, I mean, what is real? What is matter? Is it what is, do we define what's real, what is physical and tangible? Because when you look at that at the molecular level, there's more empty space than actually any solid form at all until you even get to the nucleus of an atom. So we need to start looking at these factual architecture of our reality and begin to understand what that really means for us, how that changes the way we perceive things, because we are we are not real and we are also real. We are
Yeah,
uh, physical and we are also non-physical. And actually, um, we are actually more non-physical than physical. What
interesting.
ac the mechanisms that function and infuse into our everyday experience are actually more influenced by our non-physical aspect than our physical. Because the physical part of us, and this goes into the DNA conversation, that we have 144 genes, 144,000 genes, right?
Wow.
And from 144,000 genes, 28,000 are the ones that write the entire complexities of the body. And we still don't even understand how this body functions. There are things in this body that we can't understand. So think about that. Our DNA, which is this coil, okay, is the coil is the intelligent design that nature has chosen in order to compact massive amounts of information.
Mm,
In 1 tablespoon of DNA, we hold the entire world's history, millions of years of history,
wow.
day by day. We hold it in 1 tablespoon. Okay. So think about, whoa, if that's 1 teaspoon. How much are we holding? What are we holding in that DNA? And what we have discovered through science is that we have something called a morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field, which has been described by ancient Sanskrit yogis as the nadis, the energy vortices that pull together life force to form the form of the physical body. And
Mm,
we have these vortex points in the physical body, and we also have them external to the body. Okay. And they are both intercommunicating systems that are helping us understand how to come into this form. And we can change, right? We're not married to DNA. We understand that. 20 years ago, we already have come into mainstream understanding of epigenetics that, if cancer runs in your family, it doesn't mean you're going to have cancer and that's it. It means eat, depending on your emotional state, depending on how you handle stress, you will create an environment for that cancer or not. And this is how we turn on and turn off genes in the body. So if that's the case, we actually have a lot of control. And that's why they say you can only control your perception. Well, your perception controls your longevity, your state of health, your emotional being, your bioelectrical function in the body. Okay, so it's a really big thing. So the more we learn how to master this little vessel, we actually have the key to the universe, in
yeah.
ourselves.
Yeah, we do. And what I always say is take responsibility for yourself.
Right.
Okay. You really need to look at yourself. Close your eyes, look within yourself, even take a peek. Close your eyes, sit there for 20 minutes. Oh, I don't have too much time. No, you're watching TV. You have lost so much time, right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and to answer your question about, whether some people are like real or not, also, I also want to mention that, when we deactivate DNA, and I think we're learning this now through the study of artificial intelligence, what did we discover? We
Mm.
discovered that you can program incredibly complex programs into artificial intelligence to the point where when you interact with this artificial intelligence, um, you don't know if they have a consciousness or not, right? They have such profound questions, but those could be a series of programs that you programmed into it. You can program emotional states, you can program how to feel, how to think, how to analyze certain things. Those can all be programs. So we are made up of those same kind of programs. What makes a person conscious or not? And that really is the thing. The key is self-awareness, right? So most humans are in a constant state of hypnosis. We're disconnected from our awareness to the point where we kind of just cruise through life. And imagine we're driving a car, we zone out. We don't
Mhm.
even know what we saw down the street. We don't even know what cars were around us. We literally don't even know what the street looked like. That's the level of unconsciousness that we're at. But we fall into those deep sleeps every moment of the day, you know? And most people that come to my classes, I ask them, okay, tell me everything that you felt and tell me your day step by step from the moment you woke up to the moment you go to sleep. They're like, well, I don't know. Uh, I did this. They give me the main elements, but they can't remember the spaces in between. There's no connection with themselves. They don't know how they felt. They don't remember what they ate sometimes. That's the level of unconsciousness that we have. So you're basically operating like a programmable intelligence in that moment. Your poor body is lack of attention.
Yeah.
There's no one home. And what happens to us multidimensionally is that we become a host for all kinds of things. We get attachments, entities. We can even take on illnesses in the body, like flus even. Um, you can actually, when you are in your body, when you connect with your body, the DNA that is writing the code, there is a process moment when the information is input in the body that you can either accept the information into the cellular level of the protein writing system or not.
Mm.
That's the level of control that we have on these organisms. That's how powerful we are. And I've experienced this with healing. When I was in pain or when I had some sickness, when I remembered this ability, I heal myself in one day. And I do this with my clients. I teach them how to do this because it is in the mind. The mind really has the mastery over the matter. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. People need to know this, especially that's why I'm having you on my channel because I just love the work that you do. It's very important as a mother, as a planetary soul, as a galactic soul that I've discovered myself. And, I'm here to show others that, hey, you have the same thing. you know, it's very important.
Patty, that's amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. I've discovered so much, especially I had a class with you, and that really helped me a lot. And I've also, as being a younger child, I've had twice a man behind me. I was playing by myself, and he screamed, "Don't forget to play." And I was like, "I'm playing, not playing."
That's so funny.
Yeah, so this to me is play. This is connecting with others, enjoying information, seeing yourself inside of yourself and learning these techniques because we're not here to just be blobs of
Yeah,
whatever you call it. We're here to be architectures. We're here to be teachers.
exactly. Absolutely. It is really the human doesn't have free will until they know that they do.
Mm.
And even then, this goes into a really deep conversation, but we are We are one. We are one to the point where we are interdependent organisms that are co-creating our experience. So when a human comes into that awareness and they take responsibility for what they're inputting into the system, the game changes because they become manifestors and co-creators as opposed to victims and lonely, disconnected, fearful, sick. It changes.
Yes,
There is, as you said, we become architects and we become the manifestors of our experience.
that's
Yeah.
right. And that is very true. And I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
I have never been a teacher before, and people have always asked me, "Hey, are you a teacher?" I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Uh-huh.
But so here I am, all of a sudden, I stopped my job, I did something different, and I started painting. And I thought, oh, this is so much fun. I love painting. And I was going to my local store trying to get paints and things like that. And somebody came up to me and he goes, "Oh my gosh, you do those paintings? Why don't you become a teacher?" And I was like, "No, I can't be a teacher. I've never done that before." So I sat in a few months and I thought, oh, maybe that would be fun. And then I was seeing the value of me seeing other people being happy with what I'm teaching them. So I kept going back to the store and the guy gave me his flyer and he said, "Here, this is my class structure. This is what I do." So I kept thinking about it and I said, "Okay, fine." So I created the class structure and I went to the store and I said, "Hi, this is, I want to do art flow. This is my name, Patricia, in my class script." And he goes, "Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just double check if we're going to do this or not." Comes back, and I was waiting half hour, comes back, and he goes, "Hmm." He goes, "Well, this is very odd." He says, "I just checked the computer. I talked to corporate, and they just launched this flow art. And here you are, the teacher in front of me."
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy that you're doing that. How fun. I love to paint so much. And you know what's amazing about what you're doing is that when people come into creativity, they access the divine through their
Mm.
body. Because when we come into that, because that's what we are, we're creators, and we come into that 0 point of just inspiration. It's one of the most healing things to do in the body. So you, not only are you a teacher, but you're a healer. You heal people through this. You bring them back to the connection with themselves, you know?
People were like, "Oh my gosh, please
Yeah,
do this again." It was $15 a class, but they were
that's
literally,
amazing.
paint and then water, and they're just making a big mess, and they had the
Yeah,
best time ever. And
yes.
they were coming after work. They needed some kind of thing. Fine. Some people go work out. Some people love to do their knickknacks and things, but some people are tinkerers. They it's needed, and I
Yeah.
feel that the office job really does put a lot of chronic stress on the body. And especially
Yeah.
when somebody's not sleeping well, you're talking to the other person, they're like conflicting. And then now you're having a crazy bad day, but learning how to expand. So what I do is I expand my light body.
Yes.
And I spin it.
Yes,
So
that's
that's what I
exactly
do.
right. That's so amazing. And just for those that don't know that, I'm going to share. I'm going to share what that looks like because it's so exciting that you brought that up. But essentially, our light body. So this is another conversation. But every dimensional that we master and that we access has a different geometric expression. Okay,
Oh,
what
look,
does
it's
that mean?
behind me. I
Exactly.
apparently picked the right
Yeah.
picture for today.
Oh my God, so perfect. Yeah, so the way that light bends, right, it creates these dimensions and the dimensions will create these geometric shapes. Well, our physical body becomes those shapes in order to be able to navigate those dimensional planes. So we as a human, we because we're non-physical mostly, we have the ability of, in a sense, morphing and organizing how light moves in our body. And one of the powerful ways, one of the first steps is to access your Merkaba, which is essentially you in. remember, when we are in survival mode, we're up over here. We have an inverted triangle. Everything is bleeding out down to the center of the earth. The energy is depleted, unconscious. You're in survival mode into root chakra. When you begin to activate that, now you shrink your first, second, and third chakra. So it redirects that energy that you put into survival into creation, right? So what happens is that now you anchor source into your body and earth energy into your body, which is what you're made out of, and you become the Merkaba. This essentially begins to spin. It is the light body that is accessed. And what happens when you enter into the light body of this spinning vortex, that illness literally cannot exist in a body that is moving at a high vibrational range, because illness is the stagnation of energy. So this is the movement of energy. That's the opposite. It's the movement of your life force. Stagnation is emotions that we don't want to address, avoiding emotions, avoiding memories, not integrating memories, not healing, not letting go of the past, not forgiving the self or the other, especially the self. Those are all thought forms that create major debris in the multidimensional body that do not allow the life force to move.
And traumas. I mean,
Traumas
if you want to talk
like
about
this.
like really bad traumas too, can you get rid of them? Like really like bad.
Yes, absolutely. Now, how do we do that? It's a process, but um, in a nutshell, this is what I do in DNA reprogramming and also in hypnotherapy, but more accurately in DNA reprogramming, because we access the root cause of the emotion. So traumas, let's say every one of these little dark clouds that you see here is a trauma, okay? So this trauma, this program that is here, is programmed with uh, nervous system functions, programmable nervous system functions. So let's say that this trauma is a verbal abuse.
Mm,
Okay. So what happens is that this person, every time they come into a scenario that triggers the memory of this verbal abuse, it might not even be what's happening in that moment, but it will trigger. Let's say someone talks slightly louder, slightly firm in any way, the person begins to contract the
mm,
part of the body that is holding on to that memory. So for this person, it's going to be their solar plexus, their throat chakra, their third eye. What happens is that they are severing the connection to their higher self, their communication and that homeostasis and balance in their body, and their empowerment, solar plexus. Okay. So all of that information is encoded in this dark little cloud right here. And so what happens is that when you follow the emotion, so in that case, it was like fear or just feeling insecure at the presence of this trigger, you begin to follow the emotion into these layers. Like, for example, in that fear is going to be anger. In that fear is going to be suppression. In that fear is going to be insecurity. Okay. So you start going down and you follow each strongest emotion in each one of those layers. There's primary, secondary, and tertiary emotion. When you get to the root, that's when you're going to start to access the subconscious mind. And that is the one that is running the program. And that will interconnect you. That emotion, that one emotion, will open all of the emotions and programs and memories in your body. So this is an example of one emotion. This is what one emotion looks like in the body. And closer to the body means there are things that we are currently running, um, things that are actively being processed in our everyday life. The farther away the program is from the body, okay,
mm.
um, both in the spatial context of your multidimensional body, but also in your subconscious mind. So the further away it is from the body, the deeper in the subconscious mind it is. And usually those programs are in the back of the spine, within the field. So each layer of the body is a dimensional plane like this. Oh, that's too much. Like this, okay?
Mhm.
So we store information in each one of these layers, and it basically manifests like that. So how do you change trauma? Is because this emotional Emotion is experienced by a perception, the perception that we are not safe when someone speaks to us loud. What would we have to do? We would have to broaden our perspective. We would have to shift the way that we see this and understand it. We need to question, is it true? Is it true that we're not safe when the person speaks loud? So there you begin a journey and you begin to understand, well, no, this other person is frustrated. Why? They're angry, maybe. They're speaking this way. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they had a bad life. Maybe they never learned how to communicate properly. So when you begin to understand this, the part of you that is in survival begins to understand there's a connection between mind and body. And you also begin to access the soul, because what you discover is that that person that caused that trigger to you, that was mom, that was also grandma, that was also grandpa, that was also great great grandma. So we hold that memory of our ancestors that have all been experiencing that fear for generations. That's expressed through the body. So
Through
we haven't,
DNA?
sorry,
Through
what's that?
your mother's DNA, through the parents' DNA? Is that how it is? How interesting.
Exactly, exactly. And this emotional memory has been scientifically shown. There's wonderful papers on this that you can access.
Hmm.
That trauma is handed down 20 generations. This is what science has proven now with experiments. So essentially, they traumatized a little rat that had babies, and then 20 generations of those rats, the same trauma that triggered the pain and suffering in the first rat was also modifying the reaction of the new generation rat.
Amazing.
So, it is really amazing. So, what does that mean? So, when we talk about free will, are you really free will? Do you have free will, or are you just a product of these, inherited programs, right? So, it really, really begs the question to an invitation to ask yourself, what programs are you running, and do they serve you? Do
Hmm.
they serve the collective? Do they serve your children?
Hmm.
And yeah, so we grow our light by removing as much debris of these programs as we come into the highest truth of what we are. We make space now, and we can actually embody higher bands of frequency. Our body repairs, we can begin to spin our systems in a way that is really productive. And what do we find at the center of these systems is harmony,
Harmony.
harmony,
Does it
peace.
matter which way to spin it? Like when you do the pendulum, so the pendulum, the left is take away and the right is bring in light. What do you think?
Absolutely. So the body, because we have a morphogenetic field, which is an instruction manual on how information is organized, not only in our body, but in the universe, natural organization of information. It's based on vibrational frequency. Now, our physical bodies are divided. Let's see if I could find this proper chart. Well, I don't know if I have that here, but our physical bodies are organized in a very beautiful way that the front of the body is the masculine and the back of the body is the feminine. The right side,
Really? I thought that like they was that completely half. So this
no,
is the masculine and
yeah, no, we actually we have because and God, I'm not sure how to explain this, but the way that the universe functions is that it's an access point. Well, actually, I do know how to explain this because we are a toroidal field. The way that energy
yes,
moves in this universe is through a toroidal axis. So
yes.
that means that it in that center axis, it has these four quadrants that make up um, how that information is organized, from high to low, from slow to fastest. Why? Because that's what creates the spin. That's what creates the toroidal movement. Okay, the propulsion of that faster movement is moving the slow. So the way that energy is essentially moving through this physical body is organized by frequency. Lowest frequency at the base of the body, highest frequency in the top, just like your chakras. Red, uh, orange, yellow, uh, green, blue, and purple. Huh? Those are the ranges of frequency.
Hmm.
Just the waves of how frequency is moving. And essentially, when energy is moving to the left, okay, because the left side of the body is the feminine, but this left movement is remember how the woman, she's the one that receives. So when the man ejaculates semen, it goes into the womb to create the life, right? So the woman is the receive, and the masculine is the expression. It is what gives.
Mm.
So that is the action, the action. Okay. So these two contracting energies are what create the spin. If your body, now every single one of the chakra bodies, when they are moving in an organized manner, they create kind of like a snake-like movement in your body where it is alternating. The movement of energy is being alternated. The chakras move to the right, this chakra moves to the left, creating this weaving motion of energy through the body, braiding. That's when the body is in a state of optimum function. Now, but however, we don't have to force the body into this because some of us have, let's say, the root chakra wide open. Okay. So if our root chakra is wide open, it's going to be spinning either faster or slower, depending on the programs behind that. It's overactive. It'll be super, super fast. It makes up our entire reality.
Mm.
And the body has an intelligence that tells us if we need to heal or we need to release things. So whether we need to nurture or let go, that's the way it functions. So just take a look at your chakra. If your solar plexus, for example, is moving to the left, then it needs support. It needs to be nurtured and received. If it's moving to the right, there are things that need to be cleared out. It needs to be detoxified. Okay, so check in first with every chakra to take a look what direction it's spinning, or if it's spinning at all, because most of us, actually, we have really, really stagnant, not moving chakra, especially in the back of the spine, which is the subconscious mind. So it doesn't even move. It'll be like stuck. It'll feel like a rock back there. It's like you can't feel it, you can't see it, you can't even imagine it. That's because it's dormant. You'll know the health of your intuition by how clearly you can imagine and connect and feel and sense
A
your
great
body.
practice. Great practice. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Oh my gosh. I never even thought that it would be anything in the back because I thought
Oh,
that the toroidal field goes like this, right? And then I feel myself being able to do all of this in the energetic body of me, you know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah. But the back is the most important because the spine is actually where all the primordial data is of the body. Remember, when we
man,
develop in the womb, the brain extends that information into the spine. It's the first thing that's created in the body, after the brain. So what's occurring is that this is the central nervous system. Our nervous system is the most important system in our body because it's the one that interconnects the physical and non-physical systems through vibrational frequency. So anytime that we have nerve damage or something like that, we need to help restore the body. And we can also activate our higher faculties to help us in that process because
beautiful.
that's the feeling sensory translation of the body. And we have many faculties. We have intuitive faculties. So remember that even when you remove 80% of the brain, your memory isn't stored in the brain. It's stored in the entire network of the hologram of the body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That is absolutely beautiful. What a great, great session that people can say, hey, I never even thought of that. No wonder my back hurts so much.
Ah, there you go. So it's asking some attention. There's something there that needs to be
No,
anytime.
mine doesn't hurt at all.
Oh,
I'm all
good.
good.
But
But
some people, right?
some
Yeah, yeah,
people,
yeah.
yeah. What
Actually,
about like
absolutely.
arthritis? What do you think sometimes? What is that from?
What is it?
Arthritis. Have you
Oh,
discovered
yeah.
this?
Yeah. So arthritis is when, first of all, we have really, really strong anger that we haven't been able to make sense of, resentment, self-betrayal. Those are the primary emotions that are feeding into arthritis. So any kind of like hate, anger towards the self or towards others in that severe judgment,
Oh,
um, Yeah, and so that's a really good point that you brought up because emotions, all emotions have so pain and suffering have somatic roots, right? So let me actually share this one last little chart with you
Hmm.
that actually you can sign up for the, alchemy challenge on my website and you can access each one of these slides there. All the slides are there with all this
Yeah,
information
I'll
for you.
post it down on the link below. You'll have to send that to me.
Absolutely. Sorry guys, let me see if I could find that. Where is it?
And we'll put down your courses so people can see your website, all the
Oh,
information
thank
for you.
you.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have more conversations because as a
Love
health
that.
and wellness specialist, I'm doing other things with the light body. And, we also need to think like we have other stuff. And, it's not just taking medicine, not, because now you're
Absolutely.
being lazy again. You're wanting somebody else to take care of you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, I don't know why, but I lost slide again.
Oh,
Here it is.
time.
Okay, so for example, this is a really awesome chart that I
Mm.
discovered because I was curious to know if other people also picked up the same information intuitively as
Mhm.
a medical intuitive, where parts of the body are storing information, right? Emotional information. So every time that I see someone that has hip pain, it's like I know immediately what's there. But I don't know it from a sense that I programmed these emotions, but I see what happened. It's like, they had problems with mom, and it's like all the story behind that. And it's like anchored right here. You can see the memories layered here in the body. So when I discovered this chart, I was so shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not the only one that sees these memories in the body. So in other words, there's an organization to how we store emotional memory in the body. And it's right here. This is something that was developed for ancient Chinese medicine, the pathways of acupuncture, the runways of the meridians. This is way before any of this kind of research was done in humanity. They mapped out all of these points in the body by connecting with human bodies. So this is
Interesting how shame is the lung or the side. Look at the shame.
totally.
It's 11. What would you think shame is on? Is that the back?
It can be in the front and the back, but it's
Okay.
really in this lung
Not good
system.
enough. Interesting.
Exactly, because the heart, the root program is that we are unworthy. And shame actually, and so let me clarify.
Mhm.
More than one part of the body will hold information. So shame is contracts the lung, which people end up having all kinds of respiratory problems, and also blood production problems. But it'll also affect sexual organs because a lot of our shame is about our deepest desires, our physical desires, and that it inhibits
Yeah.
tremendously the way that we perceive ourselves in the world. So there are many layers for these emotions, and that's why these are good reference points. But more importantly, you work with the emotions that come up. Take a look at the layers. What is it for you? Because you have your own map. Because every human has different life experiences. But this is just a really interesting little thing to help you understand, maybe an invitation to some of your emotions.
Oh, yeah. This right here is beautiful. I notice sometimes when people are talking, they're like, because I also talk to so many people throughout my day and they're
Yeah.
rubbing their wrist. A lot of people are sitting here
Oh,
rubbing
interesting.
their, yeah, I've noticed that a lot. So I'm going, or they're rubbing their shoulder constantly. It's almost like they're self-soothing
Self-soothing.
themselves, right?
Exactly. You got it. Yeah,
Mhm. Why
totally.
is that? Do you think that it's just they're uncomfortable with the conversation with the other person, or they kind of like want to leave, but they're trying to stay, so they're kind of like soothing themselves.
Yeah, I mean it could be. I mean we can study people that study body language and there's definitely that, people self-soothe themselves. But there's also the deeper side of that and the more personal side of that is that, why are they soothing? The body, it speaks to us and we are so busy in our lives that we just ignore
Well, we
the
live up here.
messages. Yeah. So exactly. And so what the body is saying is that anytime the body has pain, this is a part and an emotion that has been ignored for a long time.
Mm.
And it's been asking your attention in different ways, maybe through stress, maybe through trigger points. And then what do? We go into survival, fight, flight, right? Or freeze, which means that we just suppress, ignore, or run away, right? So we want to begin to question, what are we doing in our life? What are we running away from? What are we avoiding? And that way we can prevent illnesses and pain in the body. So how do you reverse the pain? And this is something that I have proven in my own physical body and with my clients time and time again. When you have a pain in the body, you need to sit with the pain. It is unbelievable. The pain and the discomfort has information for you. It's speaking to you. So, for example, let's say you have a sharp pain in the hip or something. When you go into that pain, you sit with the sharpness. How does that feel? It feels like anger. It feels like someone is being betrayed. It feels like someone, you have these sensations that you connect with that. And you're not imagining it, you're not making it up. This is the thing that we have to, we sometimes become so cynical with our own human expression. And it is a major betrayal that we cultivate in this society. It's through social engineering.
Yeah.
Everything in this society is like upside down. It's inverting the truth. It
Terrible.
makes the most sensitive, true things about our human body taboo. Everything from
Woo
sex to
woo.
your emotions,
Yeah.
yeah, to your ability to create. It becomes taboo. So these are wrong programs that we need to correct. Um, your body is a divine mechanism. It's an instrument. And so when you tune into that information, you have to listen. And sometimes, the information that you find in your body can be overwhelming because there's traumas and things that you haven't been wanting to address since you were a child or didn't know how to. So, just as a side note, on my YouTube channel, I have 30-day emotional mastery, going through many emotions, that main emotions that cause most people traumas that you can actually work through. I have self-love challenge, right? Which is the next step,
That was my
right? So after,
favorite.
yeah, so after you work with those emotions, how do you heal?
Yeah.
And this is another thing, just to end, that what I discover with my work and in my own personal journey is that most humans have never really experienced unconditional love. Some of us haven't even experienced peace. We're not familiar with it. We don't know it. So this is where the human has to educate themselves. We have to um, gently allow the body to experience these emotions by connecting mind body. So just sit with the word peace for a moment. Okay, how does that feel? What does it take to gently bring your body from a uncomfortable state into a peace, calm state? And that will teach you all the programming that you've taken on in that order of of developing those emotions. You will understand how you programmed yourself against peace and how to reverse it. So it's a really powerful practice that you can do.
And I do like to tell my clients, close your eyes and just look at yourself, project yourself out and look at your heart and say, I love you, you know, look at
Yes.
your skin and say, I love you. Thank you for being with me. I love my hair. Just, it's not being egotistical. It's just
Right.
acknowledging that, I love me, like I'm
Yes.
loving my hair. Everything's great. Everything is great. So when you are in that great neutrality, nothing can come in. So
Yeah,
those little, oh, I'm not doing anything right. Okay, you're fine. Things,
that's right. Oh my gosh, I love that. I actually have a very beautiful practice that it's an ancient practice that's called happy organs. And essentially, you make your organs happy. So, what does it take to make your stomach smile?
it
What does it take
works.
to make it smile? But what you're doing is that you're completely changing the information that you're processing through your stomach, and it heals. Like if I have a stomach ache or something, I do this exercise and stomach ache will go away. Okay. So of course, this is layers. I'm simplifying things. There's many layers to things. Please understand, this isn't like, don't not go to the doctor. You need to see a doctor and take care of
Course,
yourself.
of course.
But I'm saying that the cultivation and the power of healing your body is absolutely available and true and real. And it's something that we need to at least aim for, that attain that
I
connection.
will say that is very true, everybody.
Yeah,
I have clients also,
yeah,
even, just strangers, if they're not feeling well, I give them that little technique as well. And they come back to me. They're like, "Oh my God, I actually feel so much
right.
better." How is that working? You
Yeah,
know, they're taking
that's
care of
it.
themselves. We have the light body. We have even our atoms, our cells, everything in our body. Our brain has electricity inside of it as well. And I'm not really sure if you're familiar with Kirlian photography. You're familiar with that?
Oh,
Kirlian.
the aura photography. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
can see the red, the blue, the
Yes.
green, and all that. It's there.
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
hope that,
Good.
yeah, it's great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was such an honor to be here, Patty. Thank you.
Oh, an honor to see you here. It was an honor to see you a long time ago. And hopefully you'll come back again next time. We'll have more
Very much.
conversations. And it's a great awakening. And this is where we are. And we are here really to connect with others and to say, hey, check this out.
Yeah.
You know, look
Yeah.
at this, to heal yourself, feel better. Because when you feel better, you'll go further.
That's right.
We're not here to sit on the couch and be couch potatoes. We're here to really say, you know, you're valued where you are now. We are here in this pinnacle moment, in this beautiful timeline. We're worth it. You know.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Truly honor you. Truly, you're so blessed. And I hope you have a super, super fun day today and the rest of the week, the rest of the month, rest of the year. I know you're super busy and you're doing wonderful, wonderful speaking events. Where are you going to be next?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to be in Las Vegas for Spaced Out Radio, my radio show every first Tuesday of the month, The Spiritual You. We're having a gathering in Vegas. So if you're in Vegas, come check it out. It's going to be amazing. The 20th, and 21st of May this month. And after that, I'll be heading to Chicago for two amazing events, uh, in not Chicago, Illinois, actually the southern border of Illinois.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely check that out. It is the Journey to Truth conference. It's going to be incredible. This is in Grafton, May 22nd. Tony Rodriguez, Abby Lynn, Samuel Chung, Sue Wong, Barry Littleton, and Brad Olson, among others, are going to be speaking there. It's going to be incredible. I'm also going to be hosting a course, a workshop called Cellular Healing of Ancestral Trauma and Interdimensional Blockages, excuse me, in
Beautiful.
DNA, June 10th. So definitely check that out and join me. I'll also be in Glastonbury conference, August 11th to the 13th. It's going to be an incredibly groundbreaking project of grid work and activations. So definitely check us out. I'm also going to be at the Advanced Medicine Conference in Illinois the next weekend after May 22nd. So
Hmm.
that's going to be amazing. Definitely check that out if you are there.
You need to come here to the East Coast.
Yeah, I know. We really need to organize something out there. And if you are here on the West Coast and here in California, next Friday, May 12th, I'm going to be hosting a crystal sound bath. And these kind of little groups are really designed to get into actually releasing any of this trauma memory stored within the nervous system. We utilize sound healing vibrational frequency to break those patterns of frequency in the body so that it's easier to release, and I guide very powerful meditation in that healing process. So yeah, it's an honor again, and thank you so much, Patty.
You're very welcome.
Forward
Love
to seeing
you,
you all.
Geraldine.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Thank you for joining us.